Hey, welcome to my cluttered office here for Overtime with Pastor Brian, and we're kind of recapping last Sunday's message. Last Sunday we talked about Matthew chapter 18, right at the beginning there, and the disciples are arguing over who's the greatest. Who is the greatest? They kind of sound like Muhammad Ali, who always, his phrase was, "I am the greatest." We have a lot of talk about who's the greatest. Sometimes within groups there's kind of this pecking order of who's going to be on top and who's going to be kind of directing things along the way, and the disciples were like that. They were trying to figure out who's going to be the best, and they were working on figuring out how to get ahead in when you're working with the Messiah here with Jesus. And I think it was also not just about, getting ahead in business, having the corner office, but it was also about which one of them Jesus liked the best. Jesus, do you like me better than the rest of them? And in Matthew 18, at the beginning of the chapter there, Jesus does this strange thing where he brings a child, right? And he says, you need to be like this child, which is baffling to them. In the Hebrew, the Jewish culture was better than the Greek culture around them, but certainly influenced by the Greek culture around them. In the Greek culture, children had zero rights. Here in our current culture here in America, it's kind of a mixed bag with kids. Some kids, they run the family, don't they? The kid decides what the family does, where they go on vacation, what restaurant we're going to, and they let the child decide this rather than the parents, which seems bizarre. And yet on the other side, there are parents who end the life of the child right up until the time of birth. And there are some people that are okay, right up until birth, and even maybe some days after birth too. It's really a weird thing when you think about it. And yet, that's how the Greeks viewed children. In the Greek language, I was a miserable failure taking Greek. And in the Greek language, it's like Spanish and Latin languages, where there's genders, there's male and female, and then there's kind of a neutral and neuter version here. And in the Greek language, they didn't normally refer to children as a boy or a girl. That just wasn't part of their language. A child was a child, until it reached puberty. Before that, it was like whatever. And part of that was because of the lousy health care. And so children didn't always live beyond childhood. But part of it, too, was there was just such a lack of respect for life in that culture. Many Greek little girls were just tossed out when the baby was born. They find out it's a girl and they want a boy, and they would just leave it out there and let the child die. And it was horrible. When Jesus says you need to come as children, this wasn't a good thing in the eyes of anybody listening. Coming as a child, that was like, oh my word, you're not even a second or third class citizen. You're not even a citizen here. And you come as a child. And Jesus says, and to come as a child and humble yourself. Not like trying to be, self-deprecating and aw shucks, no, not me. No, it is a humiliation of your status and stature and state. Don't think highly of yourself. The Apostle Paul writes in the New Testament about how God uses the foolish things of this world. And he's not looking for the best and brightest. He's looking for those who are willing to say yes to him and follow him and do his will. And when the disciples are arguing over who's going to be the greatest, Jesus got upset, which I get, and he said, "That's not how this works." Behind me, I'm someday I'm going to finish up with this dissertation, but I've got all of these leadership books behind me, and a lot of them are here's how to be a good leader. A lot of them are really good, but there's some where you see all of this. You gotta be the tough, strong leader, and Jesus says that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. That's not gonna get you ahead in the kingdom of heaven. You need to turn from your sin. You need to humble yourself, and you also need to love one another. It's pretty basic stuff on how to be a favorite of God in God's kingdom. We're not trying to make our resume look good so we look better. We're trying to be more like Christ, and that's who we are called to be. Anyway, that's the wrap up for Sunday's message. I'm not sure where we're going to be at for video things because I'm on vacation sort of. Currently, right now, I pre-recorded this, but currently I'm in Bozeman, Montana for General Conference, then heading off to vacation. We have special speaker coming in the next 2 Sundays here for in-person service, but I pre-recorded messages for the next 2 Sundays for the online crew, and so hopefully they will be a blessing to you. Hey, Lord bless you, my friends. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.